It became evident in the days following a spate of school shootings across the nation that Rochester area news media were taking reassurances about safety from school superintendents as gospel. Nightly local news reports were glowing at best and cautious at worst, and the message was clear: no need for dialogue or improvement, our schools are safe. But the reality is a bit different, at least our reality. Reporters at Messenger Post newspapers visit schools on a regular basis and are familiar with some of the holes in security. This is evident in every district. There is no single offender. So after a long, hard debate, Messenger Post newspapers sent me to Fairport High School to see if I could get in without being stopped. I found a side door propped open, and after wandering through the hallways, I made my way to Principal Dave Paddock's office unchallenged. Initially, Paddock was angry. Our tactics, he said, were underhanded. That was our challenge. How do you affect change for the better by practicing lapdog journalism? That is, journalism that takes what officials say at face value without skepticism. So we opted for the watchdog brand instead. And once Paddock thought about it, he called us back and invited us in to talk to him. The intent was not to single out Fairport, rather to show it as an example of a school that does a good job but could do better. To the credit of Paddock and the Fairport School District, what followed was a dialogue and a new set of upgraded security measures for Fairport High School. It's a cautionary tale, really, meant to get us all thinking about where we are in terms of school security and where we need to be. Could it be done better? There is usually always room for improvement, no matter what the system. School security is a complex set of challenges. Do we want our children in fortresses? Can we be 100% safe? And what role do parents and kids play? The media here is part of the community. We're there when our children graduate or when they win the big homecoming football game. Sometimes, out of that same sense of community, we have to be there to ask those tough questions too. The fact is, the recent rash of school shootings happened in places like the Pennsylvania Amish school, where no one would have ever expected to be confronted with something so grisly, brutal, and heartless. So let's not go overboard and get paralyzed with fear. But let's not stick our heads in the sand and reassure ourselves that it could never happen here. What follows are excerpts, unedited, of an interview with Principal David Paddock of Fairport High School. What did this incident where I came in, how did that, what were your thoughts on it, I guess?
Well, as you know, I was less than pleased that that was the tactic the newspaper asked you to take. But in hindsight, I think it probably helped us. And you know, you used it in our little discussion the other day. You used the term watchdog. That's not what I see the responsibility of the papers. But in this case, I think it actually was, because we had a meeting prior to you coming. We had a meeting after you came, and it helped us, I think, focus a little bit. So I think overall, the end result's a good one. You know, we have to look at the big picture. Whatever it takes to make the school safer, that's not a bad thing. So I think that, I wasn't pleased that day. It made us talk about a few other things that we probably, sometimes I'm not going to talk about because there's security measures that we won't talk about. But as a result of you pointing out some things that we weren't doing as well as we should be doing, some of those things are being addressed. So that's good. That's okay.
Oh, when I came in, what was I guess, did I get detected? What was the situation?
Somebody did call later, not when you and I talked, so it's been a while. Somebody did call and said, the people on the radio were talking about who is that, and did you report to the office? And they let it go because you eventually did come to the office. I don't know how long it was, but they did call down and say that there was a person that they didn't know who it was. Someone thought, I think it's a student, I think it's a former student. Sometimes our former students love to come back and visit with what you saw on today, which we're proud of. We love to have them come back. They're actually, I'd say, pretty good, about 95% of them, about coming to the office and getting a visitor's pass, and we give them half an hour, typically, you know. But somebody thought you were maybe a graduate from a year before, and they called, and by that time you were in the office, so you were detected not right away.
About the fact that I was in the building.
Right.
How do they judge, if somebody's a threat or not? I mean, how do you handle that type of?
You didn't look that threatening, I guess. You got to work on your mean face or something. Yeah. Well, I think that's part of their training. It's amazing now how they're trained now to, someone leaves a bag someplace, 7 or 8 years ago, they would have reported a backpack sitting on the floor for half an hour. They do now, if it's a backpack and nobody's picked up. The period changes, the kids leave for lunch and that one's still there. They'll call us down. If we think it's suspicious too, we've had to call the police on that. That's not happened very often, but in the past where that would have been nothing, now they're just trained to be on the alert. I think to be, to some extent, suspicious. You kind of have to be. During the Columbine time, we're actually coming over here at 3 o'clock in the morning and watching the building, right after Columbine.
Really?
But things settled down. And we've reduced the number of doors to 4, as I said before. Now this year, it seems to be, again, due to national events and some issues that have come up, the topic has come up to the forefront again. I think I might have said to you, or I think I said it to my parents. In fact, you might get my emails.
The newsletter.
Yeah,
I did see that. Yeah.
Did you see it this week?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, no school administrator is sleeping as well now as they were when school started.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another one this weekend.
Yeah, Missouri was.
Yeah, nobody got hurt, but certainly could have.
It's just
So-
supposed to be, yeah.
And so it's the topic's back up again. We're nervous again, And I had 1 or 2 kids come in to see me. I'd say in the last 10 days, saying, "Are we going to do anything more, Mr. Paddock? Are you worried about it? Whatever?" And I told them we had a meeting coming up and we were going to look at it and stuff. And as a result of the meeting with Scott Colvar, interim superintendent, myself, and my assistant principals, we're going to be tightening up a little more.
Mm-hmm.
More doors are locked,
Mm-hmm.
as you saw in my email.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's nice.
4 doors accessible to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, though, what we're doing is having some people at those doors. We've never realized, as you saw last week, we've never had someone at those doors all the time. We relied on our signs, we relied on the monitors who are roaming the building, seeing people, and referring to the front office. What we're going to do now is have someone full-time at those doors, so if somebody comes in, they're stopped, they sign in, they sign out, and they're directed to the main office, There'll be the doors right here by the main office, and one in the back with the student entrance, quite a bit, student entrance as well.
Our schools airtight, it sounds like. Not all schools.
Our schools airtight?
Can they be?
There's not one of them.
No.
When you have 2,000 people
Mm-hmm.
in your building, it'll never be airtight, and that's what makes it. I think it makes it nervous. And I haven't really shared everything that we do with you because some of it you don't want to let it out. There's got to be some things that everyone doesn't know about. You rely on those things, but I think no matter what we do, I still think the most important thing is the school culture. If we have kids that will tell us things, if we have people that are alert, if we create an atmosphere where when somebody's unhappy, somebody notices, that's not perfect either. But if we have an angry, upset student, I expect us to know about it. I expect us to be helping that kid instead of waiting till he or she snaps and does something that is horrific. That's not perfect either, but I do think it's probably better than metal detectors and locked doors. The locked doors, the metal detectors, all those kind of things, they make us feel better. And I think they do increase security. But the most important thing is the culture in the building. And I think the culture in our building is very, very positive, very, very friendly, and very, very caring and respectful. And that's number one, in my opinion.
For MPNNow.com, I'm Amy Cavalier.